Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy. Happy Wednesday, Great Girlfriends. I hope you've been having a wonderful, wonderful spring. It has kicked off in a beautiful way in LA. Thank God the weather has warmed up because it got kind of cold, felt a little crispy, and I'm starting to feel a little East Coasty with the weather. So
You are now officially spoiled.
I'm so spoiled. I don't even want to breathe. I'm like, wait, that's precipitation. I don't want it. I want my LA weather. I don't want anything to do with the East Coast.
I know.
Breezes, ice, because it all scares me. I'm like, I don't want to go back. I just want my sun and palms. So we got sun and palms, and I'm so happy about it. And I have been taking all the emails and reading through like some of the episode requests, and I took like a sort of a census of what was coming through, what people were having issues with, conversations that were happening in my own circles, and just experiences that people are having this season. And I thought it'd be good that we talk about some of the load, the heaviness that comes along with friendship. You know, how you have the people that you love so dearly and you're so passionate about, and they are your great girlfriends. And dot 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 dot. It can be heavy sometimes when you're dealing with life experiences that come alongside these relationships. And so I saw a few circumstantial emails about, you know, um, friends having to make choices about whether or not this season of friendship needed more space, if it needed more coaching, if it was even friendship anymore because it felt like therapy,
Mhm.
just all of that sort of thing. And I thought it'd be good for me to come on and bring on a great girlfriend who I know can understand and relate to this topic so dearly and navigates these things with so much maturity and grace and finesse. And she's just fun and she makes me smile big time. And and I feel like my mama birthed her, but she didn't. But I feel like she I feel like she did. Atoya Burleson, who is also a podcaster. She is the producer, host of Inside Lines podcast. She's the founder of Ladies Playbook, which is a platform designated for women in the NFL to be able to locate new and exciting resources as you navigate from city to city and have community. She's also a great girlfriend. She's also a speaker. She's also a mom of 3.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I know.
And she's also the wife of 11 years to to Nate Burleson. She just celebrated 20 years.
20
20
years.
years. Girl, you used to be body
Am I
rolling.
that old?
You're not, which is like what happened because the math is not math then. For you to be 17 and be married.
Listen, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm really this old. It's a trip. It's a trip to say that. We both were giggling about it on our anniversary. Just realizing like we are the old folks and the kids are looking at us like, y'all don't know nothing, mom. Y'all,
Right.
that
And
we
you're
both
like, how did we
know
get here? Like, how'd you get to 20? It's amazing.
20 years. We grew up, we were babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really were. And we talked about that. We saw each other kind of, on the end of the teenage years on into adulthood. And it's a trip that, through that, you do change. Both of us, we've changed a lot, but just giving each other the freedom and the flexibility to navigate in that, while
Yeah.
still like trying to always connect and find each other throughout that journey. So it's been fun,
Mhm.
and I adore him, and it still trips me out that we've been married 20 years.
It's
And I still like you. I always
crazy.
tell 'em, "I still like you, honey. I still like you. We are."
Right, like, I actually like you, like, we have fun together.
We
Does
do.
it feel like 20 to you? Like, does it feel
And it doesn't feel like 20. We've been on so many adventures, I feel like together. We've moved so much. We've done so much in that time,
Yeah.
but it still doesn't feel like 20 years. I just remember thinking back when people said when they were in their 40s and you thought like, "Ooh, you old." But like now being in your 40s, you're like,
Yeah.
40 is not even old. We're just getting started.
Mhm.
So, it doesn't feel like 20. It definitely doesn't feel like 5, but I'm so grateful even through the journey, you have the moments where it does feel long and you try to get to the other side. But overall, like I'm so blessed that I've seen 20 years with my bestie. So
Yeah. Aw, come on with the bestie. I love that. I'm tapping on 18 very soon, and it's like, oh my
is
gosh.
it a trip? It's
It's
like,
a
how did I get here?
trip. It's a trip, and I mean, we laugh like we did when we were in our mid-20s meeting each other and, like, trying to laugh to prove we liked each other, like, his jokes were you know how you laugh? You're like, "Oh my god, you're the funniest. Oh
Yes.
my god, you're the I love you so much." You say the best like, we still laugh like that.
You have to. You have to keep dating.
We do,
People
it's
think
so
you get
fun.
married and that's it. No, you just beginning. You got to keep dating, keep going on those dates, keep laughing, keep connecting. That's
Yeah.
what it's about.
Yeah, I was just having that conversation too, on a recent podcast with Angela Holton, who just put out a book on dating.
Mhm,
And in her book, she talks about like all the different ways that you should date your partner. But
mhm.
we also got into the fact that friends should date. Like you
Yeah,
should this book that she wrote is also a resource because friends need to be able to know how to create like really high and big moments like let's take a trip to Italy moments and then let's go pick earrings. Like being happy, or let's just watch a show or let's just sit in the car and like laugh moments. And like that every relationship deserves that kind of intimacy and intention.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so true because when you're dating, no matter whether it's your husband, significant other, no matter whether it's your girlfriend, there has to be intentionality behind it
Yep.
where you are focused, you are sitting down, you are giving your undivided attention to them and vice versa. I think that
Yeah.
that is true connection.
Mhm.
And a lot of time, especially nowadays with technology and everything else going on, people forget that. It was the
Yep.
old school dating that really made, relationships and or partnerships stay as close as they are because even in friendships we change.
Absolutely.
Even and sometimes in friendships, the things that you want that other person may not want anymore, or vice
Yes.
versa, or you realize they're different and you're like, well, can we navigate this together? So you have to sit and have those hard conversations and spend that time and make each other laugh, like you said.
Girl. So, before I get into, like, the heavy, I wanna give you, like I wanna just sit and, like, pom-pom you really quickly.
All
And I
right.
wanna give the great girlfriends a story because I always think it's so important, great girlfriends, for you let me get this lash out my eye. For you to know, see, and understand, like, how these blueprints of friendship are formed. There's
Mm,
not one way. There's so many different ways that you can create intimacy and connection with another woman and enjoy them and be open to those blueprints. And so, I want to celebrate my great girlfriend Kibi for introducing me
yay,
to Atoya.
Kiwi! I love
Hey,
her.
Kibi! Yay,
Love you,
Kibi! I
Kiwi.
know because Kiwi was the one who I've known for, I mean, geez, I was probably year 2 into Great Girlfriends, so probably 8 years or so,
Mhm.
when we met, and it was probably 2019, I think, that she was like, "Wait, you live where? Okay, I have somebody that's 1 town over from you that
Mm,
you need to meet." She was like, "You need to meet her." It was very much, like, urgent, and I was like, "Alright, let's do it." And so when she introduced me to Atoya, Atoya, you opened up dinner. You were like, "Come over, have the whole family.
that's
Let's all
right.
have dinner." So
That's right. That's
so
how
we
we do it.
yeah, so the whole family goes over, and we had an absolute blast, and I felt like from that moment, I was like, "Have I not known her?"
Right? It felt like I had known you forever. We sat up laughing, talking. The kids were having a good time. Like
Yes,
everybody was vibing. It was so
yes.
beautiful and
It
easy.
was. I was like, "This is so crazy." She feels like I've known her forever. It's so easy. It's so fun. I feel
Yeah,
like I can share with her.
yeah.
And after that, I think we just kinda grew into a really, really deep friendship, Atoya. It's deep for me. So if you say it's not for you, then we're breaking
It's
up.
deep, boo. It's
Okay,
deep.
good. All right. I just wanna make sure it's mutual. But we just grew into this really deep friendship. And what I think is so special about you is you're available for whatever friendship entails.
Yeah.
Like, whatever the moment entails, you're there for it. You're like, "All right, if we gotta solve an issue, if I gotta help you figure out parenting, because I call her, I'm like, "Girl, Sam's 15, I got a question. I'm in a situation. Dylan is 12. I know me as a year ahead. Like, because her kids are older. So I'm like, I have questions. I am not good today. Like, help me figure out. Or I
Get
was
to
going,
the other side.
yes, get me over there. Or a friend scenario where I'm like, let me just ask you really quickly, how would you handle like this thing that I'm perplexed on? And
Mhm.
you likewise. And it's just been fun to share that space with you.
Yeah.
So I know that you can be like a really you're a great sounding board for me and so many people that I thought it'd be really good for us to talk about that. Friendship can get heavy, right?
Mhm.
Friendship can be like, and even navigating, I wanna say that too because COVID hit at the top of you starting, your weekly meetup at your home for a Bible study, and then COVID hit, and we were having a blast, and we got
We
shut
were.
down.
Yes, shout out to the Bible study girl.
My god.
We had a time, didn't we?
We had such a time. I mean, it was my favorite Monday. I was like, "Oh my
Yes,
god, Imma drop these kids off, and I'm headed to Atoya's because 'cause we're about to
yes.
have this whole
We're
get
gonna just
together."
talk about it all.
We talked about it all, and then life got incredibly heavy, and then my
Yeah,
father passed during that time, and I moved, and all of our lives just started evolving, so
yeah,
your friends can get heavy, and life can get heavy, and you
yeah,
have to decide how to navigate that heaviness of relationship, and sometimes friends can burden with their issues because there is a balance between am I a friend to you in this moment, or have I kinda tiptoed into being your therapist? And do you need more help than what I should be offering, right?
yes.
So, tell me your experience with handling the heavy load of friendship, and what is that how have you decided that Atoya shows up?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest and say that I didn't always handle the heaviness, the heavy friendships, and the burdens the best way.
Okay.
Um, I didn't necessarily feel responsible for solving the problems of my friends,
Yeah.
but I did feel like, how can I help? And I don't know if that's just taking on the cape of being a mom, being the wife. Like sometimes you just get
Yeah.
into that role of trying to fix.
Yep.
You don't even realize you're there.
Yeah.
So for
Yep.
me, I had to realize, Atoya, you are not responsible for feeling and solving all of your friends' problems. You have to be an active listener. You have to try to understand. Sometimes that's as far as you can go, and that's okay, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes you can help. But I didn't want to carry the burden of always trying to fix and solve. And I did that in the beginning. So that was my
Mhm.
number one mistake. But once I realized that and I took that burden off my shoulders, I learned to be just a listening ear.
Mhm.
And if there
Mhm.
was something I could do and or say in that moment to be encouraging or supportive, then I would do it. But it was not my job to get off the phone and try to solve and fix and worry and carry that on with me.
Yeah.
And so I once I let that go, I do feel like when you do choose to let that go, sometimes things come at you later that can be helpful in a situation when you were talking with your friend before, right? It just
Yeah.
naturally comes or there's something you can do. But you cannot be the friend that's going to try to fix and solve. I am not a professional, okay? And I had to learn to understand that and set boundaries around that. Really be like, okay, Atoya, this is what she's going through. These are your boundaries.
Mhm.
Are you can you do this right now? Where are you? Right?
Yep.
Can you have this conversation? Are you putting off your family or your kids and with some because someone's on the phone? Is it an
Mhm.
emergency? Like I had to really start learning boundaries around that because I had become that. I don't even know how I became that, but I became that.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I found myself in a very similar scenario because, I don't wanna let people down.
Yes.
Like, if they're in a burning building, I don't know why I feel like I gotta be a firefighter. Like, "Okay, firefighter Sybil, put the hat and get the hose and go." Like, who assigned that to me? No one. But
Mhm.
somewhere in my head, I feel like if there's a fire and I see a fire, I should be responsible for putting it out. It should be put out, but I should not be responsible. And
Yeah.
I had to learn that over time. Consequently, I found myself letting people down
Yeah.
when I did come to that realization, and I was like, "Well, girl, how are you gonna put that fire out?" Like, it's your fire. It's your fire, not mine. So how are you gonna put that out? Because I realized that if I always put myself in that position, then no one's gonna be available to put fires out for me. Like, no one's going to make
Yes.
space to support me when I have they won't even see it. We
Mhm.
don't see what goes on in the firehouse. Who knows what happens in the background? Who
Real talk.
cares, right?
Yep. Real talk.
They don't care.
They don't.
All they care about is that when they have a fire, someone's there to put it out. So
Oh
no
my
one really
god.
truly cares about the firefighters. So I had to realize that and I think it was for me a big turning point. It probably even restructured a lot of my relationships in 2020 when my father was passing. I said I have zero bandwidth for anybody else's issues. I truly don't
Yeah.
have the bandwidth. In 2019, I had the bandwidth,
Yeah.
right? I did, I had it. I was like, "Oh, girl, I'm here for you, boom, boom, bye,
Yeah.
bye," and I think my family actually accommodated that part of me that was so
Mm.
supportive to other people. I think they did. I think they were like, "That's what she does." Even my kids kinda knew, but it didn't make it right. It just
Right.
made it so right? So then in 2020, I think it was a gift to me that I had to start becoming more discerning around what is my responsibility
Yes.
versus what is other people's. And like you said, it forced new boundaries. It gave me space to be more mature around how I respond and
Mhm.
make space for other people to be village to people. Yeah, a
Yeah.
whole village. I'm not the chief of the of the
Right. And
village.
I don't you feel like, when you think about boundaries, you think about you're putting these parameters around you and you're kind of, forcing yourself into this space. But
Yep.
really what I learned is the opposite. Boundaries for me was freedom. Like
Yes.
I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I was more free to be, and I didn't always feel like I had to be there to save the day. Like it was
Yep.
a freedom in that. I absolutely love that. Once
Yep.
once that light bulb came on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been missing out on this all this time.
Yep. Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Right? One of
Mm,
the things that, my therapist, talked to me about in 20 well, it was like 21, she was like, "So there's a bit of people pleaser in you that
mm.
feels the need to receive the applause after the fire's put out. What is that about?" Right? Like, why do you wanna receive why do you feel the need to get the applause for that? What do you wanna be acclaimed for? And I was like, "Not that." So let me let me start it.
Yes, real
I didn't
talk.
even realize that that was part and it could stem back from it could go back to childhood and me wanting to make sure that everybody like I'm the youngest of my sisters, but I saw or emulating their behaviors or
Mhm.
I don't know where I picked it up, but what I did know was that it was time to put it down.
Yeah,
And so for any great girlfriend listening, you may never get to the root of why you picked it up, but you do know that when you are in a space where you're feeling um burdened by the responsibility of other people, then it's probably not your responsibility. It's probably time to put it down, right?
so good.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I got a question that came in. I want to run it by you. I actually got a few questions that
Okay.
came in. I want to run them by you. This one Let me pull this up. Okay. This one is from Karen in Texas.
Okay.
She talked her subject line regarding friendship and I'm tired.
Mm.
Wow. How do you know when a friendship is not a friendship anymore? I feel like I never get calls for the good things. I only get calls for the bad things. Quite frankly, I'm tired. How do you know when I've gone too far?
Ooh, well, she just said it. She feels like she gets called for all the bad things, which means she feels overwhelmed.
Yeah.
She feels like I am emotionally drained.
Yeah.
And I sometimes need somebody to pick me up and pull me up, and I'm missing that in my life. So, um, number one, you should not always feel stressed and overwhelmed when it comes to friends calling you. I think that great friendships, even in the cause of distress, you still have a laugh in there. You still have something in there that makes you giggle. It don't
Yeah.
matter if it's a meme or something you saw, but there's just something about it that throughout the fluidity of the conversation, you can talk about many things, right? It
Yep.
doesn't always have to be heavy.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Sybil, if I'm calling you, "Hey, how are you?" We can talk about the kids, our families, our husbands, hey, let me run this by you. I can tell you about this part of it. You can give me advice, vice versa. Then we can go back to laughing and we can hang up the phone. But if
Right.
you notice the signs of stress and feeling overwhelmed and burdened every time someone calls, that's not a friend.
Mhm.
And once again, there's boundaries that you have to establish with that friend. Sometimes it might start with just not answering,
Right.
until you can find the right words to say what it is you need to say.
Yeah.
And you have to decide if that friendship is important to you to have those tough conversations. Oftentimes, we think friendships, whether it's a friendship with a girlfriend, a marriage, anything that's tough, we think, okay, it's good when everything's good, but it's often you learn that friendships or relationships matter when you go through the tough times. Can
Yeah.
this person meet me where I am and how I feel?
Mhm.
When you call, sometimes I get a little anxious because I
Yes.
feel heavy and I know it's something bad. I don't mind the bad, but sometimes I want to feel good and or
Mhm.
smile and be happy. And it's
Mhm.
having those tough conversations. If you can get through those and your friend is able to receive,
Yeah.
even if it takes her a moment, that's okay.
Yep.
She's able to receive it and contemplate and think about it and get back to you. That's a real friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be honest with yourself and
Mhm.
how you feel, and you have to be able to communicate it to that girlfriend.
Yeah, that's so good. I think that's the piece that we miss and assume. And so many times, great girlfriends, we do this romantically, and we do this in many relationships where we think people can read our minds,
Talk
and
about it.
we're like, "But can't they see how I'm feeling? Can't they hear me huffing and puffing? Can't they feel the air being tight?" No,
No,
they cannot. They've been
'cause
living in
their
that.
ears already tight. They're up in their stuff. They ain't even paying attention to
They don't
yours.
even know. They're like, it's been that way for them. That's like how they
Yes.
move. So
Mhm.
they cannot feel it. And I do think my one of my wishes, like you said, Atoya, for every woman around the world is to be willing to stand up for your feelings, advocate verbally,
Yes.
verbal advocation for whatever it is you want to need, see, feel, or experience, especially in your relationships, which is being willing to say, is it just me or is this airtight? Like, or are you feeling the heaviness I'm feeling in this? Or being able to say, girl, I am tired.
Yeah.
I
And
need to, we need to
something
get
else
back to
I
ice
learned in
cream.
that, it's real talk.
Yeah.
And something that I learned in that is when you neglect your own feelings, you're telling yourself that that person matters more than you.
Girl.
And that's not self-love. Like
Mm-mm.
you have to honor your feelings and speak up on them and
Mhm.
love yourself first. And then it just reciprocates, right? But it
Yeah.
starts with you. Don't neglect your own feelings, y'all.
Yeah.
Let it out because you got to let all that stuff out. You cannot leave it inside. You know how it is when people leave it inside, it comes out somehow.
It will. Yes. They're going to fart it out. It's coming out. Go, go. And that's funny because to Karen's point, she's tired. So that
Tired.
person is letting everything go, and Karen's taking everything on, and she has neglected to love herself and prioritize loving
Mm,
herself. To your point, which means that she it has become inferior to this problem. The
yeah,
problem has become the king.
it's become the key.
And it's like everyone's beholden to that. And I'll say an example, 2023 Great Girlfriends was like a 911 year for me. It was all going down. I was like, "Oh my God." Oh my g oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And I would call it Toya, and I'm like, "Girl." And I would try my best to spend a little time on that and a lot more time on our friendship. I try really hard because 'cause I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're amazing,
I
sis.
don't want friends to feel like, "Oh gosh, he's calling. Here it
Yeah,
comes." And you have to have a certain amount when you're going through anything of emotional intelligence that where you are understanding of how much of what you need to deal with is between you and God and how much is between you and your friends. And being sensitive to the fact that everyone's living. Atoya's living, she got stuff going on,
yeah,
so being available to her life as well. That balance is super important. So
important.
okay, that was Karen. All right, I got another one that came in. Well, actually, I got a lot that came in, but I was like, we're gonna be able to cover a few of these today. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that she mentioned um, she gets all the bad time calls, right? And so she sees her to me, I'm like, okay, so is your friend out having good times? You're not getting invited to those good times? Well, then that's
Yeah,
another sign to me, like, wait,
it seems a little one-sided.
yeah, you wanna assess that. Okay, that was just a note that I took. All right, let me get in here. Lisa out of New Jersey.
Mhm.
I went through a heavy health condition, and I found that of my 5 close friends, only 2 were available to come by and visit me in the hospital. It hit me very hard because I've been there for them through lots of things going on in their life. How do I communicate that I needed them, but they weren't there, and make them understand that in the future, I need them to be present? Some of these are self-explanatory, but
Whew.
you go ahead, Atoya.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry that you felt that way because,
Yeah,
whenever you're in the hospital, that's something serious, whatever it is, it's something serious. And you do want the people that love you around you.
yeah.
You want them to show up for you and make you feel like you matter. So,
Mhm.
I'll start there. And then, secondly, I think you did a really good job of explaining exactly how you felt in this email and what you needed. Oftentimes, like you said before, Sybil, we think that they should know, but sometimes they don't know.
Mhm.
And sometimes you don't really know how people feel. Because I'm going to be honest about this. Hospitals are not my thing.
Yeah,
Hospitals scare me. I
yeah.
don't like them. I've had negative, you know, feelings whenever I was in ones. Even with delivering my kids, like I was like, "Ugh, do I have to go to the hospital?" Ugh. So
Yeah.
sometimes, even though we take it personal, it may not be about us and it was more about them or maybe how they felt about hospitals. But I do still feel like it's important for you to share how you felt to
Mhm,
your friends. If
mhm.
they're your friends, they will understand. And
Yeah,
maybe they can communicate why they didn't come or why they didn't feel the need to. But also, even in that, just letting them know there's even if you couldn't come to the hospital or you felt a certain type of way, there's other ways you could have showed love because
yeah,
that's what you were looking for is the
yeah.
love and support. So,
Yeah, because I think it's okay for you to not be a hospital person, like you said, Atoya. You cannot be there and send flowers.
yeah,
You cannot be there and be the welcome home party. You
yep,
know what I mean? Like, you
absolutely.
could set up the food train when they
Yeah.
return, like,
Send
but
me them edible arrangements because they are delicious.
right, right. Get those chocolates on there, like the strawberry covered chocolates, but you can be there without being there and show the
Right.
love that a person needs. And I think, Lisa, in your relationship, 3 of the 5, I don't like to discredit a friend for like, a misstep, like one misstep. You
Mhm.
didn't make the hospital because I feel like Lisa did a head count. She said 3 of my 5 close ones were able. So these other 2, like, where
Yeah.
were you? And I think it's important, like you said, Lisa, well, like you said, Atoya, that people can't be everywhere doing everything because some of it is not within them to do. And that's got to
Mhm,
be okay. And
mhm.
we have to respect and understand that, not dismissing the whole friendship. Not just, it's not, we're not throwing the whole friendship away, but we are taking a moment to say, hey, it would have been cool to see you there and be cool to see you there. However, I understand if you're not a hospital person, or for me, I probably would go, I'll tell you, I would probably go. I probably would note that they're there in my head, but thank God for the 3 that were there and not
Mhm.
even trip about it because I wasn't alone and maybe, yeah, you know what I mean? I wasn't alone and maybe they were handling something that was very important in their life, and there have probably been times when I wasn't there in a moment that they thought I should have been there, right? So,
Mhm.
we're gonna have some of those moments where you feel like, "Dang, I wish this person could have been more present," but we also have to respect differences in the way people show up and
Yes.
appreciate what is real, and not let the enemy distort, like, "Girl, that ain't your friend. She couldn't come for one moment." You
Yeah.
don't know, you don't have the whole
Um,
story, you know what I mean? And it's important to not be heavy-handed in friendship, in my opinion, so that you can have a varied array of friends showing up in different ways. You
yeah, and you
can.
know what else I realized about friendships or with some friendships is a lot of people don't know how to navigate their feelings.
Yeah.
They feel those feelings, they maybe can type those feelings, but it's hard for them to verbally say how they feel from a healthy place so that that other person's able to receive it.
Yeah.
And if you were that person, and Sybil, you talked about it a little bit, I would implore you to talk to a therapist and really work on learning how to speak honestly and candidly from your heart about your feelings, and
Yeah.
they can help you in turn learn how to do that with the people that you love.
Mhm.
Because I realize over the time span that a lot of people don't have those tools, and it comes out the wrong way. It's not what they was meant to say. It just came out that way. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
sometimes it's with the practice of talking to a therapist. You think about it, you get coaches for working out, you get coaches for this, you get coaches, like all these different coaches that you get. Do you have someone that helps you navigate your feelings and learn to communicate them from a healthy place? It's so
Yeah.
important. It is. If you learn that skill, no one can really rock you in the sense of, whatever it is you're going through, because you have the skills to say how you feel,
Yeah.
and they in turn teach you how to listen.
Right. Right.
So important. If you
Yeah.
need someone, find a therapist, find someone that can help you get there. That
Yep.
was huge for me.
Mhm.
It's not how you feel, it's the delivery.
It is the delivery. That is everything. That is
I know.
everything.
That delivery man that gives you that pizza hot and fresh and got a smile on his face and he's there early and you give him that big tip. Or there's one that shows up late, you starving, you mad, and they give you that old soggy pizza and you
Yes.
upset. It is the delivery.
Yes, it's the delivery. It absolutely is delivery. It absolutely is. I can say I will give an example of really poor delivery on my part, right?
Okay.
Like dumps of
Okay.
delivery. And I realized it was bad because of the way my friend heard it. And I was like, "Oh, she didn't hear that. I didn't do that well."
That's not what I meant. Let me start over.
I didn't mean for her to feel like that. I didn't mean to be honest, but I didn't mean for her to feel like that.
Yeah.
I should have been more intentional, and I know that as a direct communicator, I have got to be sensitive to how my words land, right? And I lost it in this moment because I thought she could handle these words. She couldn't. So anyway, it was a friend who I've known for a very long time who she's just an introvert. So she goes inward and she's inside. She's like, she didn't she just hangs inside. She's with
Mhm.
herself and she's good, and so sh since I've been in LA, I haven't seen her much, and she was making a statement, she was so sorry, but she couldn't be more available. I said, "It's okay, you weren't really available, like, you weren't available for friendship in that way, and that's okay," and she was like, "But I was." I was like, "Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's not
I
how I meant it.
that's not." I didn't want her to feel like that. I was too honest. I should have taken a beat before I said this out loud because now she's thinking that I'm saying she's a bad friend. I'm not saying that. What I
Yeah.
was saying was I was okay. I know her and I'm
Yeah.
okay with the way she was, but she wasn't looking for that close knit connection during
Yeah.
that time or she would have pursued it, but she didn't need to
So
hear it
true.
the way I said it, right?
Yeah.
I needed to just say that to myself and be like, "Girl, it's all good." And then just not and just throw it out somewhere. And I
Yeah.
said it aloud and I couldn't walk it back, but I was like, "Girl," she's like, "No, I know what you meant. I was available." And I was like, "It's okay. I should have said it differently." And
Mm. On that.
I had to own it and I had to remind her that I didn't mean any ill will
Yeah.
toward her in those words and that I was irresponsible in the way I communicated. Even though she may not have been the friend she wanted to be, that's okay. I shouldn't have doubled down on her point. I should let her point just sit over there
Yeah. And stayed right there, and you just okay,
and
you're
just
right.
be like, "Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm,
Thank you.
mhm."
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, and Kwaku's like, you gotta get your mhm face. Like, you gotta get your yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
That's
so
so
you so that's the other thing about this, right? That we will make missteps. We will say things prematurely. We will sometimes be insensitive in how we communicate as friends. And we need to learn how to take ownership of those moments too,
yeah.
and not just leave them out there. Don't
Mm,
just leave that out there if you know that you have um if you have if you've hurt someone with your words
yeah.
because we're all growing in our communication, and what would have been okay 10 years ago in a friendship may not be okay today, so we've always gotta be willing to revisit how we show up in
So
these relationships. Yeah.
But that's the key is owning it. You owned it, Sybil. You let her know that's not what you meant.
I mean it.
And
Yeah. Like that. I didn't
that's
mean it
all
like that.
you can do. That's it. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. So what do you need from your friendships right now, Atoya, and have you communicated that?
That's a great question. What do I need for I don't think for me, when it comes to friendships, I don't really have a specific need.
Mhm.
I think that I have so many different friends and they show up in different ways, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I would say sometimes life be lifing. Okay. We all know that life be lifing. And you look up sometimes and you think of someone and you just call them in that moment to let them know that they're on your mind and you love them. To me, that's all.
Yeah.
And I try to do that myself. Um, and wherever you are in your life, when you talk to a friend, as long as you can pick up where you left off, that's all that matters.
Yep.
I don't need the heaviness of where you will look at this person. They're finally calling where you be or vice versa. I don't want to put that
Yes.
burden on anyone because I understand that
Yeah.
life be life. And so
Right.
just the genuineness of friendship, understanding that there is no one in this world that's going to be everything that you need, but whoever that
Mhm.
person is and their authenticity, that's all you can ask for. And that's what I love, to be honest, Sybil, about our friendship. Um, we can pick up right where we left off. There's this, highs and lows and giggles in between of whatever it is we're going through. And there's never any judgment.
Mhm.
It's pure love, it's pure acceptance. And
Yeah.
just the authentic person that you are. You've always been a friend, not just to me, but I've seen you do this to many, where you know how to meet people where they are, you know how to connect people, and you love people for who they are, and that's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful thing. So,
You
um,
too. That
I
you know it.
yeah, I appreciate your
Yeah.
friendship because it is all of that. It's very refreshing. A friend to me is refreshing. Uh,
Yeah.
that to
It's so good. I love refreshing. I
That's
didn't
it.
think of
That's all
that.
you need. And sometimes it's just that quick call or that thought that you're like, I need to reach out. She's
Yeah.
on my heart.
Yeah. I love that. I know I definitely in this season of my friendship, I felt in my move, I was so sad that
Oh,
I had such great like my friendships are so decadent on the East Coast, and I was like, "Are they just local? Like, will it just be like, when I moved to LA, are all of those relationships gonna fizzle, or are we gonna travel to will we be able to journey together? That was my big question. Even though we've journeyed through so many chapters of life, I
yeah.
just felt like that distance was so big, the time zone was such a big gap for me, and it was so hard for me to, feel like and then taking on new relationships in LA, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Do I have the room and the capacity? Like, how am I gonna do this?" And I was very nervous about, like, not being able to love on my friends the way I want to, because
Mm,
I want my friends to know how amazing they are at all times. So that has been one of those things that, concern me heavily. But you say this all the time about friendship. You're always like, "I love that we can pick up where we left off." And as it turns out, you and all my other amazing great girlfriends who are like sisters, I'm able to, like, pick up where I left off.
yes.
And it's not like about time and
Yes.
all the guilt things that can come with relationships. And so I like the idea that it just has this tangible thread of connection. It's
Yes.
like, can we just keep connecting? What does
Oh,
that feel like? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
no matter if we're meeting in a different city, if we're going out to cheer on somebody on, if we're getting on a Zoom, whatever it is, how
Mhm.
do we keep connecting and loving on each other in a way that that both of us feel it and no
Yes.
one's burdened by it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I just so in my friendship, I think in this chapter, it has been so good for me to have people like you
Mm.
in my life who are like, "Girl, you moved. Big deal. Let's keep
Yeah.
going. Let's"
Mhm. That's right.
It's your big deal,
Right.
but I'm not gonna make it a big deal because I want to support you, right? And so I feel so supported in this move. Like, I
Uh,
feel like, the distance doesn't burden my friends, and I feel so great about that in my relationships.
yeah, and I watched when you came back from LA, when you came out here to New Jersey, and you know how you navigated all of us and how we sat together. And you're so great about that. You're so great about bringing everyone together, showing them love and support. And it's funny because all of the personalities are so different.
They are.
But you know how to slide in and out exactly where it needs to be. I'll be cracking up. I'm like, boy, that is a gift. Like, I understand why you are the Great Girlfriends podcast.
You're so funny.
Like, I get it. Like, I seen you do it. It is a beautiful. You know how to slide in.
Oh my
Somebody
God.
come down to somebody, you're gonna lift it all back up. All right, guys. So this is what we're doing. Like, I've watched it. It is so amazing.
I'm gonna tell you. Listen, I'm like, I've been a little sister my whole life. I know the range of girl friendship, and I've watched my mama and her sisters. I watched my sisters and their friends, and I got my own. I'm like, okay, all right, we gotta keep this party pumping. It's like a war can pop off at any given time with women. If the one word goes left and right, so I'm like, not here, not with me.
Like, reel it in. You reel it in right here. We're good. We're good.
We're gonna keep this bubbly. That's what we're doing.
I love that about you. It's a beautiful thing. I'm like, you are right where you're supposed to be.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad I had you on today. You know, I keep telling you, I'm like, we got to do more and more and more of this because there's so much common ground. And
Yes.
these questions that came in, we probably have to do a part 2 on this because there were a number, and it turns out that a lot of people, a lot of great girlfriends in the community are experiencing shifts in their relationships and feeling, feeling those fragments and trying to figure out like how to move forward or if there is a forward.
Yeah.
And so I want us to be able to help people kind of go through those kinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to decide on their own with that relationship if it's meant to be or if it's, that season's over. That is a tough situation to be in.
Yeah. It is true. I don't wish that on me or you or anyone, but when we do hit that crossroad, may we have the courage to make the choices that are supportive of self-love.
Thank you.
That
Self-love
part.
and self-care are number one.
Yeah.
As you get older, it finally clicks and you realize that.
Yeah. You gotta like, okay, if it's between choosing you or me, I gotta choose me.
Gotta choose me.
Respectfully.
I gotta choose me.
Respectfully. I love you, but I gotta choose me. And that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh my gosh. All right, great girlfriends. I don't want to hold you. We can keep you all day, but if you do have more questions, send them in to welcome@thegreatgirlfriends.com. We want to take all the questions. We want to answer all of them. You can follow and catch up with Atoya where?
Oh
Give
my
us
gosh.
all the links and all the stuff.
Most of my stuff is Atoya Burleson. So IG, I'm not really on TikTok that often, but it's all Atoya Burleson at Atoya Burleson. I have a blog, atoyaburleson.com, and you can follow me on Inside Lines Podcast or Ladies Playbook. They're all ats in front of that. So at Inside Lines Podcast, at Ladies Playbook. And thank you, Sybil, for bringing me to this beautiful space of great girlfriends.
Oh, I love you so much. I'm so grateful. I am. I love you so much. Great girlfriends, we love you too. We hope you have a peaceful, wonderful, amazing week wherever you are. Be sure to spread love. And don't forget to leave your iTunes review because that is the way you love on me. Thank you. All right, great girlfriends. Did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends. Follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at _greatGFS. I'm Sybil Amuti and I'm out. Peace.
Yay Networks.